Nice piles and files if you want. And if I can't find a job in Greensboro, I will work in your office 1 day a week to help you for the rest of your life. So yeah, she came in. I hired her for a week, paid her $100 a day, and it was just friggin' awesome. She organized my computer files. She did everything. It was the best $500 I've ever spent. And then she came back. How many weeks did she? Let's see. Oh, she doesn't say how many weeks it was between the.
I think we're gonna have to close that with the sound out there.
Oh yeah, the ventilation. Anytime you're ready, Monica, we're rolling.
Sure. Well, we're basically talking about recruiting. What happens when too many players get recruited? How you fix that? So if you can just explain, in general, the recruiting process. How do you go about getting players?
Yeah, our recruiting philosophy is we want to try to figure out a way to play 19 players a game. So, as you know, we play this very aggressive semi-flatback 1-3-4-3. We play in a collegiate season where we play games sometimes on a Friday-Sunday rhythm. And for us to be effective on Friday and Sunday with this high-pressure system that we play, we've got to find 19 players that can sort of fit into this system and make it work. So a part of our recruiting ambition is to see if with each recruiting class we can figure out a way to have these 19 players basically ready to go and be shot out of a cannon come fall season. And so it's been an interesting process. In the old days, we were only allowed to recruit 4 out-of-state kids a year. And so what we did with that, we're allowed to recruit 1 in-state kid. So what we did with that is we tried to figure out a way to try to get up to this 19-player rotation. And we never really got there. With the limited number of kids that we could recruit, I would say on average, we ended up playing 15 players a game. And that was nowhere near where I felt we needed to be if we wanted to really get it done. And then in the last couple years, they've allowed us to bring in more than 4. And so we're still trying to sort out what the ideal recruiting platform for us in order to find 19. Because actually we haven't even hit it yet. And one of the issues the last couple of years is the incredible number of injuries we've had. If we look at healthy players at any given moment, in the old days I would estimate that on a 25 to 30 player roster we'd have 5 kids hurt any given day. Now that number is actually jacked up between 8 and 10. So on any given practice day or any given match day, I'm talking about any time of the year, we seem to have that many people out. We seem to have that many people out when we do a fitness test in the Smith Center, the Smith Track Center. We seem to have that many out almost every practice. So we haven't really figured out what the ideal recruiting platform for us is yet, because we're still not at being able to play 19 players a game.
Generally, when you're going out to recruit for the next season, how many players do you usually approach? How many do you expect to come and commit? How do you make that balance between offering enough people spots with that you know you can at least get a certain number to commit without having too many that you get too many to commit?
Well, actually, we could probably get virtually an unlimited number to commit. That wouldn't be a problem for us. We could probably get, several thousand to commit, but obviously we can't get that many in. So it's not a question of how many we can get to commit. What we're looking for are kids that we think can impact on the 19. And then obviously we're also recruited by a collection of people that just want to come to school here. So that's an entirely different category. So there's a collection of people that we're chasing to get to our 19. There's a collection of people that are chasing us just because they want to come to school here and then maybe compete for a spot on the team. But sometimes it's literally just to come to the school of their dreams sort of thing. So I would say ideally we would love to chase 3 kids a year that can step in and start for us. Because if you look at that, if you can bring in 3 kids a year that can start for you as freshmen, then in theory over the course of 4 years you have 12 that are starting caliber kids. Now with 12, I would say of those 12, at least 3 are going to be hurt at any given time. So that knocks your 12 down to, let's say, 9. So then what you're hoping to flesh out with the balance of your recruiting is with a non-starter to come in and obviously start some games in a hole that was created by a starter that was injured. And we still haven't sorted out what the perfect number is, because again, I think with the possible exception of 1 year, we've never been at 19. So we obviously haven't recruited enough quality to put us in a position where we can comfortably play 19 a game.
And scholarship-wise, how do you divvy that up? How do you look at how many people you can actually afford to have on the team?
Our recruiting philosophy is if we think a kid can step in and start for us as a freshman, we're going to extend them a tuition grant. Obviously, the kind of kid we're recruiting that we think can step in and start will be getting full scholarship offers from a lot of other schools that are out there. So we make some exceptions with that tuition grant based on how early a kid commits. Because obviously it takes huge pressure off us if an elite player will commit early. So sometimes if a kid will commit early in her junior year, we might be in a position to offer her more than tuition. But our philosophy is if this kid can step in and start for us as a freshman, we're going to extend her a tuition grant. Now the nice thing about our demographic is a women's soccer demographic is a wonderfully affluent demographic. There are very few soccer families that are out there that can't afford to send their kid to school. For example, if their kid was not going to be extended a tuition grant to go to college, their parents would still be paying for them to go to college. So it's not like if we don't offer this kid a full or a tuition grant that she can't select to come here. There are very few people in this women's soccer demographic that aren't going to send their kids to college. And so we understand this in the scholarship negotiating process with the families. We know they can all afford to send their kids to school here. In fact, if we need to check on this, all I have to do is ask Chris to Google their home, and when we find out their home is worth $1.4 million, we know the odds of them being unable to afford the offer we're extending them is just an exaggeration on this family's part. So we'll sit there and of course nod and smile as they pretend that, you know, with this $1.4 million home they can't afford to send their kid to us on a tuition grant. But we know they're just making a choice. And sometimes if families' egos get in the way of the scholarship offer, we're going to lose them. But we know a kid with the offer that we make can afford to come to school here. And then that's a question of choice. Now if they have, you know, some religious philosophy of I'm not accepting anything but a full, or something that compels them to just choose this school based on how much money they're getting, we're not really interested in that kind of mercenary, because what they're telling us right out of the gate is they don't have our values. And we want to try to encourage people to come here that have our value system. And our value system is actually a pretty good one, because our kids, we're hoping, have the potential to end up making national youth teams and progress towards the full national team. And we have a scholarship progression where if we think a kid is progressing at this rate and starts to make some of these teams, I'm going to go out of my way to try to help them financially by increasing their tuition grants. So we've had some kids like the Lindsay Tarpleys and some of these kids come in on tuition grants, and then once they made the full team, we basically put them on full scholarships. And so we've tried to figure out ways to help these kids that have basically had remarkable athletic careers, and we've tried to basically reward them for what they've done for us. But by the same token, we've tried to keep this tuition as a starting caliber scholarship offer as our standard, and based on how early they commit or how they continue to develop as athletes, we'll change the scholarship based on some of those considerations.